Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some Am I the Arsehole mixed with relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's dive in to today's first story. Now, today's first story comes from a throwaway account. It has a shorter story but with a longer update as well, so let's dive straight into it. It's titled, My 28 female, boyfriend 30 male, keeps hanging out with a girl he has feelings for. He said he's been trying to get over her since before me, and that he thinks that if he keeps trying it'll go away. I told him it doesn't work like that, especially if we've already been dating 10 years, and he was already trying to drop his feelings for her before he met me. I feel like he's lying and he truly just wants to keep his connection to her. He left to go hang out with her at 9 and it's now almost 4 in the morning for me. He told me it wouldn't come to this, and he wouldn't be out this long. He doesn't have a phone, so if I want to message him, I basically have to message her. He also refused to let me come along, even though her and I get along amazingly. She's made it clear she's not interested and already has a girlfriend. I've started packing my things because he hypothetically asked me what would happen if he didn't come home tonight before we went out. I don't feel that there's anything left for me here. I made it clear that I don't think what he's doing is good for our relationship, but he went anyway. All he can ever say is that it's not his intention to hurt me. I keep having to remind him that the intent doesn't matter if you knew the outcome would be hurting me. I need some help, support, and an exit plan. Wowee, so this has been going on for 10 years that he still had this feelings for this person, and you've been happy with that. All I can say is, like, fair play to you for dealing with that for that amount of time. I'm not sure I could have. I would have certainly felt second best in that relationship, the way it sounds like in this post. And something that jumped out to me in this one, you said, she's made it clear she's not interested and already has a girlfriend. But what if she was interested? What if one day she did turn around and say, yeah, maybe she does like him as well, and she said this to your boyfriend? How would he feel? How would he react? Would he get with her instantly? And he says his intention is not to hurt you, yet he's clearly hurting you and has no regard for it. I think you know the answer in this one. But Chuckers456 says he still thinks he has a chance with her, but is stringing you along as a backup. If the second she actually wants to go out with him, he will flat out dump you on the spot. You are better leaving because this isn't a healthy relationship. OP replies saying, this is exactly what I've been thinking about. It's all based on her. If she moves, he will, regardless of what we've built together. Dusty Fluff says, did you say 10 years? As in you've been dating for 10 years and he still has this thing for her? No, ma'am, you are an absolute saint for having the patience to deal with this for as long as you have. You have tried your best, done your due diligence, and if he doesn't get it, he needs to get gone. Why the hell are you packing your things to leave the house that you pay for? Avid gamer without a solid income stream enough to pay for internet. Nope, you should be packing his things. Pile it up and leave it all in the living room for him to see when he gets home, with a nice note on top saying, I can't force you to stay, so now you are free. I wish you happiness and to live your best life. Best wishes. Then lock yourself in your bedroom and let him figure it out. Your space is exactly that. Yours. He is one who has screwed it up. He is the one to disrespect your feelings and your relationship, and he is the one that needs to figure out where he's going to go and live. Stop being his carpet. If you are leaving because you feel guilty, he doesn't have a place to stay, stop. That's just another concession on your part. If he can't take care of himself or his life and obligations, that's entirely on him, and he needs to grow up. I'm sorry you have wasted your time on this guy. You honestly sound like a wonderful, caring and supportive girlfriend, but it's time to take off the kid gloves and make a stand. You aren't going to force him to stay, but girl, you absolutely should force him to leave. Someone better will come along and you absolutely deserve better. Good luck. OP replied to that saying, sadly we're renting under his family. I don't know how they would feel about that, although packing his things would be much easier. Lol, I hate that I've wasted my time too. Literally everything of what you said is very similar to the conversation I tried to have with him before he left. He just kept pushing that he wasn't trying to hurt me and that's not what it's about, but of course he can never say. Yes, 10 years and I'm very hurt over it. I put my entire being into this boy, and all I got was a lesson in never letting someone take away my independence again. I was completely independent before meeting him. He had me quit my job and move in. The rest should have been good history, but sadly, I'm here. He keeps saying he loves me over and over, and then walks out the door to hang out with a girl he has feelings for 6+ hours. And I wonder what it's like from, her point of view as well. OP said, she gets along with her fine, but doesn't this girl sit there and think, hanging out with this guy for 6+ hours is a bit shady as well? He may be telling stories and saying, she absolutely lets me do this or whatever, but it just seems a bit weird to me. Crinkle Lord says, you can just ask yourself one question and probably figure out what you should do here. If next time they hang out, she professes her love for him and asks him to sleep with her right now and would be with her from now on, what do you think he would do? If you answer that question, and you don't have to answer it here, you probably have the answer to what you should do next, without second guessing yourself. OP replies saying, I was afraid of that, but it is what it is. He told me I could force him to stay, but had I done that, I would have been stuck with him while he sulked, wishing and crying about how he wants to hang out with her. He's done it many times, even recently. Now, after those comments, let's move on to the update to find out what happened next. So, I went to sleep and woke up to him cuddling me, which was very upsetting, especially after the night I've had. He came home at around 5 AM, a time he told me was only hypothetical and wouldn't really happen. We had a talk where I made it very clear that if this is how he loves me, then it's not the love I want anymore. He didn't want to tell me anything at all and just kept saying, I don't know, to every question I asked him. But if the situation was swapped, he would need every detail. Matter of fact, I wouldn't have even been able to go. I packed the bulk of my belongings and have hidden them in easy to grab places. I've got 4 days left in my college course before I take my certification exam. I'm very glad he stayed out all night because I've never felt this much love for myself since before meeting him. He knocked me down so many pegs that I forgot how much I was actually worth and was willingly taking scraps of love. This isn't even the worst that he's done, and we should have been over a long time ago. Hate that I'm just fully realizing it now, but I'm glad I did at all. It hurts, but not as bad as staying as someone's second choice. He probably won't even remember the conversation, as he never does. But I'm done explaining it over and over again. The plan is to stick it out until the end of the week, take my certification exam, pack up all my stuff and leave in the middle of the night. My sister lives in another city and already has a place for me to stay. Luckily, my mother is in town as well and plans on staying until I am ready. I'm letting him keep his gifts because once I'm gone, he won't have internet until he gets it himself. It's getting turned off and moved to where I'm going. I will also be taking his cell phone off my contract. I really didn't understand how much I pay for his life until I started disconnecting and removing everything a piece at a time. I just did it because I love him and wanted him to be taken care of. The time he spent gone last night was everything I needed to get my life together. He knows the best ways to guilt trip me, especially after going to counselling. I'm not going to keep doing this fight, and I'm the only one actually making progress. I've held him up and backed him up on so many things in his life. I never expected to get to this point. Thank you to everyone who helped talk out things with me. I was so distraught that I couldn't even think or move. Definitely made it easier to keep pushing on. Everything is packed, but my little library and PC set up. I don't even think he noticed when he came back, and I'm sure he'll be asleep all day. Doing a once over and finishing packing. My mother will be back later to pick a few things up at a time under the premise of just wanting to see her daughter. Mum is with the plan and I am loving it. For those of you who believe that we could have worked things out, we could have, but that takes the both of us being willing to do that, not just me. This isn't even everything, my guys. I know it may feel like an attack on men to you, but if I told you everything, you wouldn't feel that way. Trust me, I wanted it to work out too, but he made it very clear that he would drop me if it meant keeping her, even as a friend. If for any reason she told me they can't be friends because of me, I would be a hot potato dropped on the floor, guts everywhere. Joking, but you get the picture. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I feel like I'm finally about to get everything that I've ever wanted and needed, and I hope you guys too. And whilst we did have the update to that one, I feel like there could be more down the road for that story, so we'll certainly keep an eye out for that. But it's like so many stories, 10 years of your life spent with someone who's treated you like this, and then to finally be getting that freedom that you desire. And like many people say in these stories, it's like the fog has been lifted and you can see clearly and think clearly now. I find that absolutely amazing. That feeling must be just wonderful, I think. But whilst there's a lot of shit going on, obviously. But now, what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from supposed misogynist who says, "Am I the arsehole for praising my son differently than my daughter? Throwaway account plus obligatory mobile formatting apology. I, 52 male, am the father of 3 kids, 15 female, 7 female, and 7 male. The last 2 are twins and are very close, having the tendency to copy each other. I love and adore them all equally. My son is not a very masculine kid and is less interested in some of my hobbies because of this. He has always preferred whatever his mother and older sister did, like baking or dancing. I have no problem with this. I love him as he is, but to be honest, I'm slightly disappointed that we haven't had that kind of amazing father-son bonding that I got to have with my grandpa. My dad died when I was pretty young, when I was a kid. Since I'm at home almost all the time now, I've been seeing just how feminine his interests have gotten. Asking to help cook every meal, helping his older sister alter second-hand clothes, and playing pretend. He's even asked to have his sister paint his nails. I'm not upset or bothered by it, but it isn't typical for young boys. I've been working out at home instead of at the gym because of our current circumstances, and when my son came in, I was lifting weights in the family room. He showed an interest in it. He was excited about the idea of having big muscles and tried out some of the 5-pound ones, even though he mentioned being like She-Ra, from some new Netflix reboot, I think. It was still progress in my eyes, and it seemed like he was showing interest in masculine hobbies. I praised him and did the whole "wow, you're so strong" thing in a kid talk to encourage him. When his sister walked in, the twin 7th female joined in. Like I said, they have a tendency to do what the other is doing, so she expected the same kind of "wow, so strong" stuff. When I wasn't as enthusiastic with her and focused on my son, my oldest got annoyed and asked why I was treating them differently. I explained to her that because he hadn't taken an interest in these kind of masculine hobbies before, I wanted to foster his own identity as a boy, separate from his twin sister. She accused me of being misogynistic for this. She then said that I was an arsehole for making his sister feel weaker and implying that I didn't approve of his feminine interests. I don't think I'm the arsehole because there's no reason for my daughter to be inclined towards this kind of thing. But my son should be developing a more masculine personality as he gets older. Ooh, dear. When we told my wife, 41 female, she also blew up at me saying I was acting like a cartoon misogynist. Both of them are pissed. So Reddit, am I the arsehole? You know, in the first paragraph you was talking about, he's not very masculine and his usual hobbies are baking and dancing, which I think is a wonderful thing. And I thought that maybe he was just feeling a bit left out, and then you found a common hobby with your son. This is the path I thought it was going to go down, and everything was wonderful. But no, it just went to absolute shit from that point. He was talking about, his air quotes, feminine interests don't bother you at all. But then you complain about it later on, and you say he's got to have a more, again, air quotes, masculine activity. Since when is cooking just a feminine activity? I mean, come on now. And playing pretend is just a healthy part of childhood. I remember playing pretend when I was younger all the time. One of my fondest memories was putting on my mum's boots that was up to my knees and pretending to be D'Artagnan. Boots, pants, and nothing else. And a sword, of course. But Texas World says, your daughter was right. This is very misogynistic. You've expressed outright disappointment that your son has predominantly feminine interests, which do only girls cook? Do only girls have imaginations? There is absolutely nothing wrong with things being feminine, but those aren't even girly girl things. Also, why are you so against your daughter having masculine interests, which again is illogical? Women also lift weights. You're the arsehole for more reasons than one, OP. Hope you do some introspection. A deleted user says, if you weren't bothered by it, you wouldn't have typed the first 2 paragraphs. Hypocritical much. And quotes, because there's no reason for my daughter to be inclined towards this kind of thing. Then goes on to say, my god, arsehole of the year. You really are a misogynist and a sexist. There is no reason for your daughter to be interested in lifting weights at 7 years old. Hope for her own sake she doesn't get into sports. I can only imagine the reaction. You're the arsehole. Skittycatcher66 says yes, you're the arsehole, not for trying to help him develop interests as an individual separately from his sister, but for so clearly treating them differently on the basis of gender. You say his feminine interests don't bother you, but then you go on to say that you're glad he's developing interest in a more masculine activity. The way you're differentiating between genders, inclination towards certain activities, which is complete nonsense, and the fact that you seem more interested in bonding with your son than your daughters is going to cause your daughter to resent you later on. Also, how on earth is doing basic household chores like helping out with dinner feminine? It's not 1950s. Boys should develop the same basic skills as girls, and that includes cooking and cleaning. Edit. Also, the idea of a masculine personality is just ridiculous. Personalities are just personalities. They're not attached to a particular gender. And one more from Not an Expert who says, you're the arsehole. My initial reaction was no. You just got excited you found a common interest with your son. But then you got to the last few lines of your post, in quotes, because there's no reason for my daughter to be inclined towards this kind of thing. But my son should be developing a more masculine personality as he gets older. And goes on to say, the fact that she has no reason for an interest in lifting and that you think your son needs to have a more masculine identity is misogynistic and a little toxic. Plenty of professional chefs and designers are men. Your overall perception is the problem. And now let's move on to the updates to find out what happened next. So the first one says, hey everyone, I was 100% the arsehole. I appreciate that some people try to empathize and say not the arsehole or no one's an arsehole to be charitable. But I'm in the wrong here and I knew it deep down while I was writing the post. Rereading it, I feel ridiculous for writing that all out, and I want to say thank you, because these comments were the objective kick in my ass that I really needed. I realise now that I was really out of line for saying that shit and making my daughters feel that way. I set up a stupid false dichotomy and my daughter was very right. I was being misogynistic, no excuse for that. I apologise to both of them and my wife an hour after I posted. I also shared this post with my little brother who, as I mentioned in a comment, was teased for being effeminate as a kid/teen, especially after he came out. I think some people took me mentioning that as blaming him, which wasn't my intention at all. None of my behaviour is his or anybody else's fault. We talked for a while and that, along with many of the comments you guys left, made me aware of how badly I'm treating my son. My grandpa, who raised my brother and I for most of our lives, was a manly guy who I've always idolised completely. Well, my brother made me aware that my grandpa in particular made him feel shitty about his femininity and his sexual orientation. He would regularly say degrading, terrible things. I was oblivious to just how much that hurt him, and it seems that I've picked up on some of these same ideas. I've been such a dick for so long, and now I feel that I realise how absurd that some of my ideas I've held on to are. I know how much of a disservice I've done to my boy. I shouldn't try to make him change just to protect him from bullies. In this situation, I'm the bully, as much as it hurts to think. I'm planning on talking with him about this issue and apologising. If we can this week, I want to let him choose between something that he likes that we can do together. I'm not going to make the same mistakes my grandpa did. At my brother's and some Redditors' suggestions, I'm considering trying out therapy or a support group. After a mistake, huge fuck up like this, I thought I ought to try and be the best dad and big brother I can be, and to stop thinking that way, especially when I've already done so much damage. I'm sorry about the extremely long edit, but thank you for your responses and helping me with this issue. I showed my wife some of the comments and she also thanks you all. Update 2. And this will probably be the final update, but wow. I'm overwhelmed with all the responses. I wasn't expecting so many. Thank you to everyone. I'm glad you guys were honest, but still encouraging. I'm sorry I haven't been able to reply to you all. I got a lot of really kind and personal messages and I want you guys to know I've taken it to heart. Some people asked what I'm going to do with my daughters since it seemed like I focused more on my son in the edit. My oldest wants to try Krav Maga? Apologies about the pronunciation, but apparently it's some sort of self-defense class. So in the coming weeks we're hoping to find a place that accommodate both ages. Youngest daughter has wanted to learn how to roller skate too, so my 15-year-old may have to teach us both. I was able to talk to my son for a while this morning and apologise for yesterday. Talking about gender roles and all the trauma surrounding my grandpa may be something I'll talk to him more about as he gets older, but I got the message across that I support whatever he's interested in. I asked him about She-Ra. Some commenters told me that it's fun for adults too, and we watched a few episodes together. You guys were right, my oldest and I both thought it was very cute. I asked him what he would want to do together, and he mentioned trying to alter something. I brought down a box of my old stuff from the attic, and lo and behold, I found one of my 80s Hawaiian shirts my grandpa bought me. Probably an effort to make me look like Tom Selleck. With some guidance from my oldest, we're going to try and make it fit my son with room for him to grow into it. I think it'll turn out nicely, and because it's really vintage, my 15-year-old loves it. So everything is pretty good right now. I invited my brother over, lives a few hours away, for dinner so my son and I can make him something. I can't believe that I was feeling upset about him liking baking and everything. I'm lucky that my boy wants to help everyone, so I'm definitely the arsehole, but I'm slowly becoming not the arsehole. Thank you all. I showed my oldest some of my favourite comments and she thinks they are great and I should expect a Clown of the Year award for a Father's Day gift. Lol. And I hope OP does continue down that path of changing the way they view things like that. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me. Just want you to know that. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day.